Hi guys, welcome to part 4 of Beating the Meta with Cat. I am UnoPro, and I could not go over the whole meta without covering the deck that is absolutely dominating the ladder and the tournament scene right now, Cat Seeker of Freedom. Now if you're playing Cat, you're also going to run into a lot of Cat mirrors on the ladder. So we're going to break it down for you guys today. I'm really excited about today's video, as not only do I have a great replay of my own, I have a really nice video of MnM versus Smarties. Once again, one of the best Cat players in the world, as I have been saying. So let's get into it. Now, as of course we're playing the mirror, I'm going to break it down from both sides. So we're going to look at the key cards going first and the key cards going second. Now, as most of you will know, going second is a huge advantage in this game, especially in stronghold mirrors. Now, what cards are we looking for going first? Well, obviously we're going to be on the defense, and we're going to need to regain that tempo that you get from going second. So the reason for this is, first of all, Insect Swarm is one of the best cards going first. You need to have it. Insect Swarm is one of the best ways for the Cat to get back into the game and regain that tempo, as she's likely to lose board control early on. We also have Campfires, which make for excellent tempo plays. It allows us to maybe play an extra creature one turn, remove a spell and play a creature to gain back that tempo. And then we also have the War Elephant. Going first, we're going to need to be defending quite a lot, especially early on. So the War Elephant will give us a good defensive creature, and only a couple of creatures in a Cat deck will be running, will have immune to retaliation. So that's a healthy body. It's going to survive up to 2 insect swarms. It's going to serve as a great defensive purpose if we get behind in tempo early on, which we are likely to be going first. Now going second, what I have here, first I have the Campfire. Now I've been talking to MnM, and he said Campfire is absolutely key in the Cat mirror. It basically allows us to get an extra creature out earlier on, make some really nice plays, and gives us that tempo. Now often the Cat mirror is going to be decided fairly early on, and that Campfire will give us those plays to really ride that tempo to the end and get some stronger creatures out early on. Now, going with the same theme, we are likely to get an inherent tempo advantage whilst going second. We want to punish that, and no card does that better than Sacrificial Altar. For only a low cost of 1, we're able to clear maybe a 4-drop from the opponent's creature. Now we are losing out on card advantage, 2 for 1ing ourselves, as is an inherent part of the card, but it gives us a huge tempo advantage, which can really snowball the Cat mirror out of control. Now, put Damran here as the third and final card, but this is really once again to represent the epic, unique creatures you'll be running in Cat. Now, this basically is going to give us a lot of tempo advantage with stuff like Zephyria. And it's also going to create card advantage by killing off creatures with Damran, maybe getting some extra kills in with old Zephyria. They're basically high value cards, and it is possible to play a value game in the Cat mirror, as well as really pushing to that final damage or totally taking over the board control. Alright guys, I'm going to break down the game plan. First of all, going first. When going first, the whole game plan is we need to take back that board control and that tempo. Now there's a couple ways we can do this in Cat, and one of the best things about Cat over other stronghold decks such as Akamus and Toggle is that Cat has comeback potential. We have ways to take back the tempo, take back the board control. So this can be done through a couple of ways. The first one is obvious, AoE through Insect Swarm, as stronghold creatures tend to be of higher health. Now often we will need 2 Insect Swarms, or we will already need an existing board to be able to finish off those creatures. But nevertheless, Insect Swarm is absolutely vital in coming back as the first player. Now we also need strong defensive creatures such as War Elephant, maybe some Bloodcore Shamans to block those early drops, and strong tempo cards. We need to seize back the tempo with a big play. Now, such dropping on type turn 5, we can drop a 4-drop, we can sack Altar and kill one of the opponent's bigger creatures, and that can give us a huge tempo lead that can allow us to get back in the game. Now, I've also included Broken Bridge. Broken Bridge is great for if your opponent spends, let's say, 7 mana making a power lane, we're able to bounce it back for 3 resources, and then also play some more creatures of our own, and that is really how tempo works. We're giving up card advantage as we're not really killing anything off with the Broken Bridge, but we're getting an immediate board advantage and tempo. Same as I've been saying, Campfire absolutely vital in the cat mirror. It allows us to have very explosive turns and out-tempo our opponent. We need to constantly be thinking the cat mirror. We need tempo, we need board control, and we need it now. Now, of course, some games can go to the long games where card advantage becomes more important, but for the most part you need to stop yourself being snowballed upon, and you need to try and snowball upon your opponent. Now, of course, the uniques are highly valued in this matchup, so it allows us to gain nearly everything. We get tempo from them, especially with Zephyria, able to come off, bounce a creature back in the hand, causing our opponent to have to spend those resources again, as well as maybe moving a creature into another lane in order to kill it off. It can also generate card advantage, especially stuff through Zephyrias, which can cause us to kill our opponent's creatures, gaining card advantage that way, and they can also act as finishers. Now, and Damaran obviously creates card advantage in a very obvious way, killing off our opponent's creatures for free. Now, going second. Our main focus when going second is to use the advantage we get going second to take control of the board early and gain tempo. Now, one of the ways we want to do this is to curve out as well as we can. Now, what I mean by this is, each turn we want to be spending our resources as efficiently as possible to get as big effects out on the board as early as possible. So this means something on turn 5, you may have a 2, 3 and a 4 drop in your hand. You may choose to pay the 2 and the 3 drop as we're spending more of our resources, so we're getting more threats immediately out onto the board. We also want to snowball this tempo through sacrificial altars and campfires. If you already have board control and you're able to get a really nice sacrificial altar off or a couple of campfires, this can lead to an immediate board advantage that's going to take too long for the opponent to come back from, and by then we should win the game. We also have the ability to possibly get our uniques out a turn earlier, as well as some of our bigger creatures, and that's the main reason for the advantage behind going second. We get to use our resources earlier than our opponent. We play a 4 drop, then they have to play a 4 drop. They're constantly responding to our bigger creature. And this is extremely evident in Stronghold, as Stronghold are really known for their solid creatures. Each creature is a threat, whether it be a Bloodcore Shaman, a Blood Snake Shaman, a War Elephant. We have threats that we want to be playing each turn, and we force our opponent to react to them. So that's how we're going to snowball the game. So first of all, guys, I have a replay for you. I played against SilverMedusa, extremely good player, won the previous Silver Cup in Road to Paris, and we're both playing cat here. I'm starting off first, so I'm just going to jump into that replay and let's get started. Alright guys, we are back with the replay as I promised you against SilverMedusa. Now, as I said earlier, I am going first, which is quite a disadvantage in the cat mirror, but there are a number of ways which I have been talking about that we can use to regain that tempo and give us a shot. Now, one of the best ways to do this is start with a Goblin Scout. Applies a lot of early pressure, and it's hard to block being a shooter, which can be protected by a melee or flyer creature in the front row. So, pretty standard stuff here. SilverMedusa is going to drop a Harpy. Now, for some of the less experienced players, we wouldn't put a Harpy in the bottom row, as since it does not have any shooting ability, it can easily be blocked by a melee creature, which will force it to move or face death next turn. So that's why he's done that. He knows what he's doing. Unfortunately, here we do miss our 2-drop, which would be nice to apply early pressure, but at least we get a Goblin Scout consistently try and get at least some creatures on the board. Now here, I'll make arguably a mistake. I choose to increase my might instead of my magic. Now, most likely I'm not playing Insect Swarm next turn, but I should always keep my options open, and if for some reason I wish to play Storm Mage Hunter, I've missed out on 1 extra enraged counter I could get from that. Now, it's a very tiny mistake, basically insignificant, but still, we want to keep those things in mind. We're always trying to strive for something a bit more. Now he chooses to make a power lane in the top lane, comprised of a 2-drop and a 1-drop, and he knows, well, it's a pretty weak lane to Broken Bridge, and he's not really going to lose too much tempo, spending 3 resources, we're responding with 3 resources, and he's in fine shape. So he chooses not to. I choose to block with the Elephant. The main thing I was playing around here was Campfire, Broken Bridge into a 2-drop, so he's going to have 4 creatures out to only 1 of mine, just a Goblin Scout, and from there, tempo will be extremely hard to regain, so I choose to block off. The Harpy is going to have to be forced to be defended, or have to move, so quite happy with that move. He unfortunately has a Shredder, to kill off my Goblin Scout in the bottom lane, and this is where we can start to see the advantage we get from going second. He's able to play more threats, he's able to play his Shredders early to kill off my Goblin Scouts. So he's gotten 4 creatures on the board to my own 2, but I do have some potential tools I can use to get back into the game. So I've taken a bit of early damage, but I've also managed to dish out some damage of my own using the Goblin Scouts. Now, here I go for a bit of a risky move. I choose to campfire, and I get exactly what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for here is a 2-drop I can play, so I can War Tent to kill off the Harpy, and then also play another creature. Now, if I don't play another creature, sure, I'm not losing in card advantage, but I'm slowly getting further and further behind on the board. Now, this will allow me to play a bit more pressure, and really fight for that board control. We have to fight for tempo. We can't sit back and wait for the late game against this deck. We have to fight for board control early. We have to continue to fight for it. So, play the War Tent, killing off the Harpy. Attack with the Goblin Scout. And I choose to play the Harpy in front of Goblin Scout. And this is simply just to avoid the Shredder moving up and killing off the Goblin Scout for free. So we're attacking, got our opponent down to 12, and we're happy to take another 6 damage this turn, as we're going to need to start blocking off lanes if he is going to go for damage. But we're still at a healthy enough life total, and we're not ready to start giving up board control to try and preserve our life total. We're not going to win by stalling out and defending. We're going to have to fight and gain board control ourselves. Now, I think arguably he made a slight mistake here. I feel like he could have used that campfire, played the Bloodcore Shaman potentially, just to gain a really nice tempo, really hard board to deal with, and really gain board control early. But he still has a strongish board, but I feel like this is one of maybe the key mistakes he could have made. So let's continue on. He's choosing to attack, dealing 6 damage. He doesn't really have a good target for the Shredder. Now I do face the problem of having that War Elephant be quite hard to deal with, but I do have some plays that could make it. Now I increase my might to place the Furia, of course giving Swift to the Goblin Scout, allowing to kill off my opponent's Goblin Scout. Now I'd like to talk a bit about my move. It's possibly a bit too passive. Now what I could have done was simply leave the Harpy here, possibly move it back, or move it into this lane, and move Zephyria up. Now I'm going to be taking an extra 2 damage from the Shredder, but I'm still fighting for board control, and if I can gain board control, it still will be hard for my opponent to finish me off with a low resource count, as he's going to need combinations with Shredders, and not just a couple Shredders alone. So, but instead, I choose to move the Harpy up to protect my Goblin Scout, of course, and simply just taking 2 damage from the Elephant. Now this move's fine. I wasn't going to be attacking with the Harpy anyway, so I'm pretty happy with this move. Just my other option was to move Zephyria up and then create more of a power lane down here. But of course, that does play into Broken Bridge. So there's a lot of things we need to be considering. There's definitely no clear way of playing this game. So he chooses now to use his Campfire to make a really nice tempo play, which will allow him to potentially drop a Bloodcore Shaman and one of his 3 drops, either the Bloodcore Shaman or the War Elephant. So let's speed this up a little bit. So here's the Blood Snake Shaman. He chooses his place in the bottom row. He knows he needs to deal with that Zephyria soon enough, otherwise it's going to continue to generate me card advantage. And he chooses just to defend with the War Elephant. Now, I'd like to just pause the replay once again to talk about this move from SilverMedusa. Now, it's a very risky move to say the least. He's at 8 health, I'm at 6 health, so the game is likely to end quite soon. However, he chooses not to soak up 4 damage with the Harpy, and he understands this matchup. He's a really good player, and he realizes that in order to win, he's going to need board control. Now, unfortunately for him, I am able to get a lucky Week of the Mercenaries off at the top. This isn't even my own, and this leads me to a quick win. But that's not necessarily to say that my opponent's move was wrong. It still needed me to draw the weak of the mercenaries, have a sacrificial altar in hand. So it's definitely definitely a case of him playing to win and not playing not to lose, and that's definitely fine. I believe he played this game very well. He's a great player, but it's as simple as me just sacrificial altering, giving Swift the elephant, moving it up to the top row, and finishing it off for the win. So that was a very nice game. I hope I demonstrated how sacrificial altars and the uniques can really give us the tempo to come back into the game. I feel like both players played pretty carefully around Broken Bridge, as it's huge loss in tempo if the power lane, which you spent a lot of resources developing, is Broken Bridge back into their hand. So I'm going to pause the video for a second here. I'm going to load up a replay between MnM vs Smarties and the player he versed on the ladder. And once again, I'm going to show you the importance of tempo in the cat mirror. Alright guys, welcome back. The replay is loaded up and we're ready to go. Once again, we have MnM going first, and we can really have a good look at how he's able to regain that tempo. Now he has a fairly nice curve here, missing the Goblin Scout unfortunately. Now Zontic7 is going to play Storm Mage Hunter, normally the best job you want early on. MnM's choosing to defend early. The reason he plays the Storm Mage Hunter in the mid row is because he has a couple of shooters in the hand which he can use to support it later on. There's no real point playing it in the back row as he has nothing to back it up in the front row. Now Zontic is responding with the elephant in front of the Storm Mage Hunter, looking to force the Storm Mage Hunter to move down. There's no way he can attack through that big defense and high retaliation values. So yeah, he's forced to move it down. He knows that he needs to regain board control, and we can't be defending in bad positions early. So he has a bit of a think here. Not really thinking to defend, but mainly if he wants to play around Broken Bridge, which he decides to. And as you can see, with the Broken Bridge and Goblin Scout in the hand, that would be absolutely devastating for MnM. So his opponent plays a Blood Snake Shaman. Now, this is one of the really nice tempo plays that MnM is able to make, demonstrating the power of the campfires and the sacrificial altars. So he plays the Blood Snake Shaman as he's going to gain the range counter, and sacrifices the Storm Mage Hunter for the Blood Snake Shaman. Now, this is one of the best tempo plays you can have as cat, and really shows the power of Stronghold in coming back and gaining that tempo. Now, not only is he able to deal with his opponent's 4-drop, he's also able to play his Blood Snake Shaman with 2 stronger creatures on the board than his opponent, and also gaining a range counter for the Blood Snake Shaman. So he's coming back, yet his opponent still has that initiative, still able to play a couple of creatures down. Now his opponent's choosing to do the same with the Sacrificial Altar, and I feel like this was a pretty key move in order to regain that tempo, just like MnM did, and he's actually able to regain a fair bit of board control and tempo with double Goblin Scout. Just sometimes really nice to get them out onto the board, applying pressure, and can be hard to block if you don't have a shooter of your own. So as you can see, MnM's still down on board control here, but he does have a strong Bloodcore Shaman out here, and he does have that Shredder to start cleaning up these Goblin Scouts. So he makes sure to attack with the Bloodcore Shaman first there, so as not to waste the enrage counter he will receive now, killing off the Bard. Not only is he able to kill off, he's able to get another enrage counter and play the Goblin Scout, and of course he's choosing not to move into the Goblin Scout row as he's playing around Shredder, and he's happy to go down to 8. After that, maybe he'll start being a bit more cautious, but he's recognizing that he needs to have that tempo advantage. Now Zephyria comes down, giving Swift to the Goblin Scout, moving into the bottom lane and allowing it to kill off the other Goblin Scout. Now the reason Zontic has placed the Zephyria in the bottom row is to protect his Goblin Scout from the enemy Shredder. As he still manages to do another 2 damage. Though as we can see, it's pretty even card advantage wise. Board control, Zontic still has that edge with that Zephyria. Though MnM is able to show really how Cat can come back. Now obviously there's no target for the Shredder in that bottom row. No point attacking the Elephant, so he chooses to just go another 2 damage to the face. Dealing another 3 damage with the Bloodcore Shaman. Increasing his magic up to 3 in order to play Damran. And this really shows the power and the tempo swing that can come from these unique creatures. He's able to kill off the Goblin Scout, put a couple of enrage counters, infect counters onto the Elephant, and block off that Zephyria. Now there's no real point blocking off the Elephant, as it can be granted Swift either way. Choose to block off that Zephyria, basically preventing that Zephyria from attacking, and also dealing some damage to that Elephant, as well as gaining an enrage counter for his Bloodcore Shaman. Now, arguably, I'm not really sure about the Zephyria here. I think it might have been better to do it to the Bloodcore Shaman, especially considering he's not really choosing, he's not really going to gain anything from blocking here. So I'm not sure, he's not going to be taking any less damage. Bloodcore Shaman does take a turn to attack, doesn't have that Swift, so I'm really not sure about that one, but nonetheless. So Zephyria comes down, giving Swift to the Damran. Now another option he had was to return the Damran, but he doesn't want to give those infect counters back, even though it would be a tempo advantage resource wise. So he moves Damran up the top lane, killing off the Elephant. He knows he's fighting for board control and he can't really rush his opponents down. And he chooses to sacrificial altar onto Zephyria. And this is basically 100% necessary to stop Zephyria getting an attack and then giving Swift to another creature. It's very easy for him to die that way. Now I'm not sure what happened with the hero ability there. I think he may have run out of time and chosen not to draw a card accidentally, or some kind of lag, can't be sure. So now he definitely has board control, and quite a nice board with his 2 uniques out on the field. So his opponent decides to make a power lane in that top row. He's not the end of the world if it does get Broken Bridge, because he does get that into the battleground effect back from Zephyria. So this game is likely to end fairly quickly though, so I guess be careful. And this is a move I absolutely love from MnM here. It's beautifully played. The Insect Swarms first, allowing him to kill off the Blood Shark Warrior, giving Swift to the Damran, which he can now kill off the Zephyria, move it away with that Swift ability, and then conveniently the Shaman is left at 2 health. He has a Shredder in hand. Now, as I always say, you should always draw a card first, though with that hand he knows the deck very well, and it's quite likely that he simply believes that that's the best card he can have in that situation, so it doesn't matter, but I still always recommend try and draw your cards first. So it's a good principle and it can always affect your play. It might be something you didn't think of. And after that, the opponent's going to concede. That's the game. I felt like it was played extremely well by MnM. He showed those cards, those sacrificial altars, those campfires, and the insect swarm that can allow the player who's going first to take back that tempo and take back the board control. And from there, he never really let go. He consistently trying to kill his opponent's creatures off when he got the chance with his uniques, and not going for damage, not trying to race, because you do have a tempo disadvantage. You need to regain board control first. So thanks a lot for MnM for sending in the replay as always, and thanks for his advice on Cat. He is one of the best Cat players. I keep saying it because he really is. He's consistently at the highest ranks. So thanks a lot for that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. part 5 should be coming out shortly, and I also will be starting a beginner series aimed at people who just basically learnt the rules and want to have an understanding of the basic strategies we use when playing the game. So thanks a lot everyone, I'm UnoPro, and thanks for watching. And sorry guys, just to clarify, the screen did show up as defeat. I believe this may be a bug with the replay system or something or the other, but I can confirm that MnM did win, and Replay Manager is also showing that. So I'm not sure why it's showing defeat. Sorry about that guys if it caused any confusion, but I just wanted to clarify. So thanks again for watching.